Welcome everyone. This is the Diana Wright Show live. Welcome from around the world and in the United States. We thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we begin by just talking about what I love to talk about. The word is love. Because without love, you see, we all seek it. We all want it. We all try to aspire to get it. But we need to start by loving ourselves. So as we ask you and welcome you to join our crusade on the Diana Wright Show live for the I Love Me crusade, and that's simply saying each morning that you wake up, each night you go to your bed, if it takes you a very long time, a long process, we're simply asking you to begin by saying to yourself 3 little words. I love me. And in another effort, to teach your children to say those 3 little words all the time. I love me. And I truly want just to be me and not anyone else. I don't want someone else's life. Because you see, everyone that you think is doing so well, we're all in some way or some form running away from something. A lot of us are slaves to something that we want to run away from, and we can't. But if we begin the journey by loving ourselves, that journey will simply be easier to cope with, to conquer, and to deal with. So as I welcome you from around the world and in the United States this morning, I just simply say to you, whatever you do, just try to do it with love. Love for yourself and love for your fellow man and woman. And as you teach your children to love themselves for who they are and how God made them, wonderfully so, you will give to them a gift that will take them through life. So hold the negative words that you tell your children back and only encourage them to embrace the word love and what it means. It truly means to start with you, with yourself. Because if you can't give yourself love, I'm trying to figure out how you will receive love from someone else. And as I remind you that April 30th is the International I Love Me Day declared by this show, the Diana Wright Show, because it's my crusade. You might think it's crazy, or you might think it's infantile, or it's not gonna take root. Most things start off small, and it's not about where you're starting. It's about where the finish line is. And my finish line that I see is each and every one of you around the world and in the United States saying, I love me, buying the t-shirts and wearing them proudly to say, I love me, and teaching your children to love themselves. And what a greater world and place that we would be. If people love themselves, normally they're simply happier, more joyful, and more at peace with themselves and their own lives. So as I encourage you this morning, because I really want to get you out of that depressed mode that you might be in, because a lot of people, they seem happy, but then when you dig deep, they are stressed and overworked and over worrying about something in their lives that's keeping them in that hole that they can't seem to come out of. So my encouragement to those people this morning is just simply to come out of the blue and come into the green zone where life simply is beautiful. So as we begin the journey of this show today, I want to start with love, happiness, joy, and peace. That's what I wish for you, each and every one of you. And don't tell me it's impossible for you to have that, because it is possible. All things are possible when you believe. And all things are possible through the great one, Jesus. So I know that a lot of you are hurting today. You don't know where your next meal is coming from. You don't have a roof over your head. But brighter days are ahead. Hope is important in your life, no matter where you are. Hope and trust and believe and faith is a magnanimous one. So as I encourage you, not just because I like to speak, but I encourage you from experience, which you will find out about soon enough when my book comes out, Deadly Negligence. And you will see that I know exactly what I'm talking about. The sun eventually shines, and the rain is simply gone, and the clouds are clearing, and the sun is there for you. So I encourage you to feel that, to know that, to embrace that, and to hope for that. Because that's truly, truly, truly important for you to move from the dark hole to the sunlight. And I welcome you once again to the Diana Wright Show Live. Thank you for joining me from around the world and in the United States. I begin this morning by reading you a quotation from Pearl Buck, an American writer, that simply says, "The young do not know enough to be prudent, and therefore they attempt the impossible and achieve it generation after generation." Simply what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, and what you're doing right now. You can have a greater, better, more beautiful life if you just simply start off at the beginning, which is loving yourself. And when you're young, it's so much easier because young people, they don't know much, but they're prudent. And they will take risks that we will never even consider. And hence, they will be successful. And this will continue to happen after we all that are in my age range are gone. So the journey continues, success continues, and there's don't forget about the gloom and the doom about, the economies. America will come back. The world will come back. Things look gloomy right now and down in the dumps, but my hope and my prayer is that it will return to its glory. We will soon see things made in America. We are seeing it already. People bringing back their factories from China because they realize that cheap labor is not always the best way to go. Because if you're going to have that cheap labor and the things are coming out looking inferior, it's so much better to bring it back home to the United States of America, where when I was growing up, everything you bought and you saw that you could not afford was made in America. So we challenge you on the Diana Wright Show Live to go out and try to make it in America, because it's still possible. Yes, there's racism, and yes, there are things that we need to talk about and address, and don't push it under the rugs. But indeed, you can still have what you hope for and have it made in America. So we are going to start with our beloved President Obama, who, he was in the West Bank today meeting with Palestinians and, of course, embraced President Abbas. That was wonderful to see. He's doing some good PR over there in the Middle East. President Obama spoke critically of Israeli settlement activity in Palestinian territories and reaffirmed his commitment to the creation of an independent and sovereign state of Palestine. The president spoke at a joint press conference, or news conference if you will want to call it that, with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. This is President Obama's second day of his first official trip to the Middle East. And of course, he goes to Jordan and other places. So we just pray for our president and hope he has a safe journey and comes back to us in one piece. Okay? But interesting, and I need to put my glasses on for this because I don't want to miss any of the quotations, because I thought it was so incredible that King Abdullah of Jordan, who I like so much, a young king, got the crown at a pretty young age. But my goodness, he gave an interview to journalist Jeffrey Goldberg, an American journalist, of course. And he opened up and he kind of just laced everybody, if you ask me. King Abdullah of Jordan leads one of the smallest, poorest, and most vulnerable Arab nations. But that does not stop him from looking down on many of those around him, including the leaders of Egypt, Turkey, and Syria, as well as members of his own royal family, his secret police, his traditional tribal political base, and his Islamist opponents, and even United States diplomats. President Mohamed Morsi, he says, of Egypt, has no depth. He said the Prime Minister, excuse me, Erdogan of Turkey is an authoritarian who views democracy as a bus ride. As in, once I get my stop, I am getting off. Wow. He said President Bashar al-Assad of Syria is so provincial that at a social dinner, he once asked the monarchs of Jordan and Morocco to explain jet lag. He never heard of a jet lag. Wow. I think King Abdullah I don't know if he was just in a good mood, or Jeffrey Goldberg is just a lucky journalist to get this out of him. The king's conversation with Goldberg at an influential writer, he is an influential writer on the Middle East, and acquaintance of more than a decade, offer a rare view of the contradictory mindset of Washington's closest ally in the Arab world, as he struggles to master the upheaval of the Arab Spring revolts. Seldom has an Arab autocrat spoken so candidly in public. King Abdullah appears to be humbled and even fatigued by the many challenges he failed to foresee when he inherited the throne 14 years ago. Wow, it seems like yesterday, but it's a long time ago. Describing himself before coronation as a Forrest Gump in the background of his father's long reign as king. In contrast to his father, this is really interesting and something for you to listen to, because it's important to know that even though people seem so powerful, and as king he has everything, but he has reservations, he has problems, and he is thinking about all the same things that we're thinking and worried about. So, unlike his father, King Hussein, King Abdullah promises to move Jordan closer to a British-style constitutional monarchy, and thus to stay ahead of the Arab Spring. He wants to stay ahead of that Arab Spring that is springing all over the Middle East. He insists that only he can lead the transition to democracy. in part to ensure that democracy will not deliver power to his Islamist opponents. The era of Arab monarchs is passing, he said. Where are monarchies in 50 years, he asked. But even his own family, with 11 siblings and half siblings, because that's how it works. Some of them are half because they're not the same mom and dad. Okay. Does not yet understand, he says, the lessons of the Arab Spring for dynasties like theirs, adding that the public will no longer tolerate egregious displays of excess or corruption. So King Abdullah has got it. He got it. Members of my own family, he says, don't get it. Look at some of my brothers. They believe that they're princes, but my cousins are more princes than my brothers. And their in-laws are like, oh my God, he says. I'm always having to stop members of my family from putting lights on their guard cars. I arrest members of my family and take their cars away from them and cut off their fuel rations and make them stop at traffic lights. Now, is this a great King Abdullah or what? He's just letting them have it because he does not want that Arab Spring in Jordan, you see. So he's providing preventative moves to make sure that this does not happen. He's trying to put his royal family in check. Even his own sons, he said, should be punished if convicted of corruption. He insisted on that. Everybody else is expandable in the royal family. That is a reality of the Arab Spring that hit me, he said. So he got it. He got it. So you see, the efforts of those young people in Egypt did not go to waste. Because King Abdullah of Jordan, he got it. And he's trying to pull up the rest of his royal family so that they can get it also. And he continues. He blamed his own government's secret police for blocking his efforts at political reform. For example, he charged that the secret police had conspired with conservatives in the political elite to block his attempts to open up more representation in parliament to Palestinians, who make up more than half of Jordan's population. Now this brother, it's a good thing he became king so young because it gave him time to grow and to know and to understand and gather wisdom. I can tell from this. Institutions, he said, I had trusted were just not on board. Naming as an example, the Mukhabarat, or secret police as they're called. He said he had not realized at first how deeply conservative elements had become embedded in certain institutions like the secret police. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, he said. Stopping the Islamists from winning power was now our major fight across the region. He repeatedly mocked the Muslim Brotherhood, the pan-Arab Islamist movement behind the largest opposition party in the Jordanian parliament, and Mr. Morsi's governing party in Egypt, calling it a Masonic cult and wolves in sheep's clothing. Where have you heard that before? Your grandmother told you that. And he accused American diplomats of naivete about their intentions. Wow. He continues. When you go to the State Department and talk about this, they're like, this is just the liberals talking. This is the monarch saying that the Muslim Brotherhood is deep-rooted and sinister. King Abdullah said his job is to dissuade Westerners from the view that the only way you can have democracy is through the Muslim Brotherhood. The king was also frankly dismissive of the tribal leaders from the east bank of the Jordan River who have traditionally formed his family's base of support. The old dinosaurs, he called a group of East Bank tribal leaders, including a former prime minister, before a meeting with them in the town of Karak. It's all about, I'll vote for this guy because I am in his tribe, the king said of that political program. Alarmed at the violence in neighboring Syria, King Abdullah said he had offered asylum and protection to the family of President Assad. They said, "Thank you very much, but why don't you worry about your country more than you worry about us?" The monarchy, he said, King Abdullah, young King Abdullah, he said, the monarchy is going to change. He vowed that, actually. His son will preside over a Western-style democracy with a constitutional monarchy, and not the position of Bashar today. Now, if that is not incredible, he said many more things about Iran, but it's such a long article by this very lucky Mr. Goldberg, who is a journalist, to have gotten this kind of interview. This is immensely important and tremendous for King Abdullah, who became king 14 years ago. I remember how young he looked and lost he looked, because I think he was actually shocked that he became king at such a young age. And for him to come out now, 14 years later, and give this frank, open interview, because I think he gave it because of the Arab Spring and the fact that he has got it. And he is trying to make sure that that Arab Spring does not come to Jordan, because he's going to try to fix his royal family to make them get off that high throne of monarchy and come down to try to be normal people, so that people can see that you're not always living in excess and corruption and getting all the privileges, while the little people in your country continue to suffer and be poor. So now we have a Pope Francis I who is thinking of the poor, and we have a King Abdullah of Jordan getting it due to the Arab Spring. Remember what I said about the youth? Young people, you have power. Use that power to make change, to stand for something, to be for something, because if you're not for something, you end up being for nothing. So you need to stand up. Don't go out there and do something crazy. Instead of trying to get shot by the police and wearing your pants below your waist and letting us see your underwear, go and do something positive. Make a commitment today to make your life useful. Make your life worth something, as opposed to being harassed by policemen and killed. And then your parents are crying in their soup because they didn't take your reign and say to you, you cannot wear your pants below your underwear. It doesn't look good. You cannot hang out in the mall as long as you want. You cannot not study and get your education. You cannot be a high school dropout. You must go to college, and if you don't want to go to college to pursue the educational path of studying, what trade do you have? What can you do with your hands? Let me nurture that. And not everyone can be Jay-Z or P. Diddy. You have to do something with your life, young people. I'm appealing to you on this day. The day that some place referred to as Ben Johnson's Day, the day that you are almost out of money because it's Thursday, the day before you get paid, and the day before you spend what you've already spent in your head, because lots of us or lots of you, I should say, because I don't do that. They spend their income before they get it. So once it hit their hands, it's already gone. So young people, I encourage you today to use your youth to make a positive contribution to this society or wherever you are in the world. Don't just join up with people because they're demonstrating about something. Are they demonstrating about something that you believe in or you want to be a part of? Don't just get on other people's bandwagon. Stand to your own morals and principles. Remember what your grandmother and your mother and your father taught you. Let it click in when you're about to make the wrong decision. Let it click in and let you realize that unless you are able to live with the consequences of your behavior and the things you do and get involved with, you should not be doing it. And then when you do it, you blame. Blame is a bad word and a bad thing. We should not be blaming anyone for our lives and where we are and how we came out. We have to blame ourselves, because if we do go back and have some deep reflection of our lives, the mistake was on us. It always is on us. No matter what injustice we suffered, or how much hate or envy or jealousy we endured, the final decision about your life and you and where you're going should come from you and you alone. So let's think of King Abdallah for a minute. He became king at an early age. He has all the trappings of wealth and power. But indeed, the actions of some young people in Egypt, and before, of course, the Arab Spring actually started in Tunisia with that young man who burned himself because he was denied. And that's the reason I don't like denial about things. I don't like to deny people of something. If it's something that you really want to do, go, do it. You should not be denied, because I believe totally that each of us, we simply need an opportunity to show our talent, to showcase our talent, to prove how good we are at what we do. We simply need an opportunity. Opportunities are given to a lot of people. And if you come back and you look at shows like Housewives of Atlanta, all of those girls, they got an opportunity. Whomever gave it to them. And all the other housewife shows. And then you always have a breakout star out of each of the groups. In the case of Atlanta, Nene Leakes. But she got an opportunity from Donald Trump. And then she got an opportunity again from Brian, the guy who produces the show that she's on. Never watched the show, but I know of it only because it has gotten so much publicity because she's in the show. And if you go to Beverly Hills Housewives, you learn lessons there too. Lisa, the British accent lady that I like a lot because she loves pink and white just like I do. And other things. I'm just giving you a joke there. Lisa is the runaway star from that series. Now, I gather she's on Dancing with the Stars. And as she said the other night, as I watched her on Nightline, she said, the book I'm writing now, I could have written it years ago because I was an actress. I was doing things. My husband and I were in business. We were still, well off. But no one would have bought it. But now that she got the opportunity to be on Beverly Hills Housewives, she can come up with this book and with everything else. And it will be successful. So we each just need someone to believe in us and our talent and what we do to take us to the next level of success. So I don't worry about people who are saying, oh, you start small. Yes. Starting small and being independent and doing something for yourself to help other people to get to where you want to go and where they would like to go. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not about where you start at the beginning of the journey. It's where you end up. The finish line is always where you need to look. So erase all those negative things that everyone has ever told you in your head, because we do play them back in our minds over and over and over. Get rid of them. Embrace the positives only. And if you have people in your circle that are constantly negative, kick them to the curb. That's what I said. Kick them to the curb. You don't need them. You need people that, of course, will give you constructive and positive criticism, because even though criticism is a word that criticizes, the criticism can certainly be positive, because the criticism will help you to be better if it comes from the goodness of someone's heart, or it comes from a right place. It can only allow you to grow. So I really ask that you do that. You encourage, you inspire, you don't cut down and try to destroy other people. And if you're mad at someone, find it in your heart to take a breath and wonder, what was your contribution in the whole mess? Did you make a contribution to the mess? And hope that the other person will come and say, yes, I did wrong, I'm sorry, but I still love you anyway. Love is something that you just don't throw away. It just doesn't come overnight. Good friends are better sometimes than family. Yes, I said it. Good friends are sometimes better than family and will do more for you than family. So if you have a good friend and you're missing that friend, and you want to have a relationship continue with that friend or that family member, for instance, because some of us are mad with our sisters and brothers and cousins and whatever, just call the person up or invite them to lunch and say, look, I made a bad mistake by doing what I did. I'm sorry, but I still love you. Because love, you see, remember, they always say love conquers all, and it truly does. I know that for a fact. Because when you love someone, you can look beyond the terrible thing that they've done to you, the pain that they have caused you. Because if that love is big enough, it will forgive. So that's my rant for the day. Welcome once again to the Diana Wright Show. We thank you so much for joining us from around the world and in the United States. And we remind you of April 30th, the International I Love Me Day. That is declared by this show. And don't go to try to copy, because I have it under wraps. It is all copyrighted. And I have the CD to prove it. And the CD is entitled I Love Me. I think I'll actually put that CD out with my book, Deadly Negligence. I'm thinking about it, but we'll see what happens. So, opportunity is what we all need and what we all want. Continuing now with news from overseas, because we left Jordan and we're going to now go to Cyprus. Taking a journey to Cyprus, part of the Eurozone. Now we go. Cyprus political leaders, I'm so glad, they have come to their senses, you see, and seem to have dropped an unpopular levy on bank deposits in a new bailout plan. There was outrage in Cyprus, to put it mildly. Citizens were mad over an earlier plan to tax all bank account deposits by 10%. Cyprus banks have been closed all week. Can you imagine the banks being closed all week in the United States? Actually, I think the law in the United States is that the banks cannot be closed more than 48 hours. So what would we do if this was happening here? If we were asked to pay 10% on our deposits and we are hopping mad and the bank decides to close and stay closed because they're trying to prevent what's called a mass withdrawal by depositors. And they would have every right to do, because they've already emptied the ATMs in Cyprus. Yes, they have. They're all empty. I heard one journalist say he tried to get some money out of one and he was just hit with empty. So all the ATMs are empty. But details of the new plan, they have a new plan. Don't worry, there's a new plan if you want to get some money out of Chancellor Merkel in Germany, who I think is going to have problems soon, because Germans are going to say, wait a minute, not so fast. They've already been saying it. I don't want to be bailing out all these guys and these banks who are totally irresponsible, and Germany is going to just take up our cash and give to them. Let's see how that plays out. I see the stock market is going down this morning. I don't know what triggered that. And that's the reason I keep saying no one knows what triggers that market. One day it's up, next day it's down. One day it's bullish, next way it's not. It's like, give me a break. No one can actually predict the stock market, what it's going to do on a daily basis. We just have to hope that if we have some money there, it will continue to grow and grow and grow your wealth. Because, see, we don't envy anyone for their wealth, as Mr. Romney would have you believe that we are envious of rich people. No, we're not. I'm not. And I think lots of folks who are watching me right now, they're not jealous of rich people. We just want an opportunity to do our thing, to make our money, to be successful. To have someone find you on YouTube and say, yes, I'm going to make this person into a star. Because even Oprah, there was a white man that believed in her. That's how she got her start when she went to Chicago. So, there you go. So anyway, the details of the new plan is still being worked out. And it is not clear if it will be put to a parliamentary vote by today, actually. Cypriots are having an increasingly difficult time to perform everyday financial transactions as cash and credit dries up in Cyprus. So we'll be watching that situation, because what happens in Cyprus affects the US of A. Don't forget. Maybe that's why the market decided to go down today, because they heard that there's a new plan coming and it ain't going to be 10% on your money. Maybe the minister has come back from Russia and the Russian said, I'm not going to pay no 10% on my tons of money that I have in your banks. You better find a new plan and go home and fix it. So maybe that's what it is, but I'll get the news and I'll give it to you as we go through. It's Thursday. My goodness, the week has just flown by. And next week, Sunday, not of course this Sunday coming, next week is actually Easter Sunday. This Monday coming is Passover. Wow. I told you. January started, but as you squint an eye, there will be December, another Christmas, and before December, another Thanksgiving and Labor Day. It comes fast these days. It seems like it's racing to get to the end. So that's the reason we need to get up and do what we want to do, pursue our dreams, and try our best to get to the finish line, because that's where the important thing is. Okay. Move over now to business and Walmart right here in the United States. Walmart is expanding their shop with your iPhone program because they've tried it and it has been very, very successful. How does this work, you might ask? It's actually called Scan and Go. And Walmart will add the program to more than 200 stores around the country. Of course, those are the stores that they already tested it. Shoppers, here the way it works now. It works like this. Shoppers go around with their iPhones in the store and use their iPhones to scan the items they want to buy. Okay. Then you pay for that or those items at the self-checkout, which I hate. I just hate that self-checkout thing. Okay. I just don't like it. Call me old-fashioned, but it's not my speed. And I don't have an iPhone, so I won't be actually doing that. But not to worry. The only catch for all of this is that you only can use this with an iPhone, but not to worry. Walmart is promising that the program will be extended to Android devices, which of course, you know, are other smartphones. I have another kind of smartphone, but I don't know. I'm not too keen on that thing where you're standing up and you're checking out your own groceries and putting in your money in that little thing, and then there's a hitch and the girl has to run over and try to assist you, and then you're holding up the line and you're looking behind you and you're feeling very insecure because you're feeling quite stupid because I don't know how to self-check out. I think I'll continue to go to the girl at the counter. But for lots of you who are so technologically savvy and inclined, I encourage you to go to Walmart and do this. And I'm sure now that Walmart is doing it, tons of other stores will be getting in on the bandwagon to do this. So maybe, just maybe, I'll be forced to do this because next thing you know, they're going to get rid of those cashiers. No, I rebel against this. I don't want to get rid of any worker. So, you know how it is. They're trying to do this so that they can get rid of some of those workers. No, absolutely not, because they don't want to pay that $9 an hour. I know it's coming, that $9 an hour. No one is talking about it right now. But it's absolutely must go happen, and it's going to happen, because you cannot expect people to continue to live on $7 an hour or $7.25, whatever it is. It's just not right. While the wealthy is getting wealthier by the moment, we're still asking the poorest among us to work for $7.25 an hour. Ouch. I think we should look and start reading our Bibles a little bit more and continue to think of the coming of the Mighty One again. Because, you know, we all have to stand up and get the judgment for ourselves. No one is going to be able to stand up for you and say, you know, some of these pastors and some of these friends of mine and my family has been protecting me for all these years. But oops, I now have to go before God and his son Jesus and plead my own case. Because, yeah, it happens, you see. Lots of pastors do that. They cover up and shelter up some of the people in their church. And then when the oops hits the fan, that person realizes that they need to stand on their own 2 feet and stop getting cover from the pastor. No, no, no. It's not right, and it's not fair either. Anyway. In health news, which is not so good news, because it used to be 1 in 100 kids that get or have autism. Now they're saying it's 1 in 50. That's just cutting it down the middle. And so 1 in 50 kids have autism or mild cases, and that's increasing every day. As a matter of fact, autism in the U.S. has increased from 1.16 to 2% in a very short time. There are 1 million cases of autism in the United States. First, they were blaming the vaccines. The mercury in the vaccines, to be specific, and a lot of people stopped getting vaccinated, stopped taking their kids to get vaccinated. And of course, that created other problems. Kids were having mumps. Kids were having measles. Recognition of this, one doctor says, is more, not so much that he thinks that it's increasing, but he believes that people are more aware of the signs and the signals of autism in young children. Now, you know that Toni Braxton has a son who has autism, and, herself and a lot of other stars who have autistic children are coming out and trying to get this on the front page, as it has been for years. I think it's called now Autism Speaks. We just hope, I really hope that this actually is not true. 1 in 50 kids are autistic. That's incredible. Like, totally incredible. I cannot even begin to imagine what a parent goes through, despite my own tragedy of what happened to me. But, this is not something my daughter was born with or anything. But just imagine the life of a parent with an autistic child. Some mild, some more aggressive, some out of control, because I've seen it. And you feel so sad for the parents, because you can tell that they're indeed overwhelmed and burdened by this. They try to put the best face forward, but a lot of them that I met during therapies, you could see the sadness in their eyes. And the fact that they believe that it's their fault that their child is autistic. So a lot of parents get on the Autism Speaks thing because they want to find something else to validate them, to validate the whole thing of autism. It's very sad. It's been around for a very long time. A lot of parents just was in denial and would not admit to it. And it's not just in the United States, it's everywhere. Just like a lot of kids in the Caribbean that are disabled or retarded or whatever, their parents lock them up in rooms. And it took a white woman from the United States to go to places like Jamaica and call them out for doing this. If you have a child that is disabled or autistic or whatever, don't hide that child in a closet, because you made a decision to bring that child into the world. Because I know when they do certain tests, the amnio in particular, you can tell if your child is indeed autistic, or if it's severe, of course, and other disabilities. You can tell that from in the womb. So if your decision is to bring the child here, why would you bring that child here and then hide them? No, you bring that child here and you get that child the help that they need in this society. And yes, it is difficult to get anything done for disabled people in this country, despite the fact that the United States pretend as if disabled people have lots of rights and they get lots of opportunities and all of that. Hell no, they lie. The struggle is great. The blockage is, it's like a mountain that you need to climb. So I just imagine, and some of those parents are also embarrassed about their children. Why should you be? And if there's help for your child, there are some people who don't even want you to get that help, because they believe that you're not somehow deserving of it. So let no one fool you. A parent that has an autistic child, and I don't have one, but I just see it around me when I go to various places and therapy places, you see it and you understand. And some of the parents, they have a housekeeper, and that housekeeper is the one who brings that child to therapy because the parent is so overwhelmed, and some of them ashamed. I'm just telling you that because it's the truth. The fact that their child is autistic, because they continue to hope that there is something that will change that. And again, we come back to the word love, because you see, you love that child so much that you will do just about anything to make that child whole again, or whole if they were born that way. So I reach out to parents who have children with autism, children who are disabled, children who are, some people like to call them retards, which is just so cruel. There's hope. And yes, the journey is rough and tough and tumble. But you cannot give up hope. You cannot stop praying. You cannot stop believing in miracles. And know that God will come through his son Jesus for you at the moment that you least expected. As a matter of fact, you might have given up and then the miracle comes clean in your life. So I'm just encouraging you, all the parents who must be truly going through a very difficult time with their kids who are autistic. Just keep having hope. Keep speaking out and standing up for your children. Do not be ashamed of them. Yes, some of them can be a handful. I've seen it. And they get off and do crazy things. But it's still something, someone that came out of your womb. And if you chose to bring it here, you need to take the extra step, go the extra mile to make sure that that child has the best life that they deserve to have in this United States. So, anyway, grandparents may be the ones passing autism to their grandchildren. The international study suggests older fathers are more likely to have grandchildren with autism than younger fathers. So if you're an older man, you might just be the one that's giving that child autism. Not good news for older fathers, because a lot of men, they remarry and their younger wives want to have kids, and then this create an issue. But other experts have urged caution, stressing autism is a result of many different factors, both physical and genetics. So let's just take a breath. And, when things happen, or we have children who are less than what we think they should be whole, we seek to blame. But blame is not a good thing. Forgiveness is a better thing. A better thing to do. A better role to travel is forgive. And you will learn that I have learned how to forgive when you read my book, Deadly Negligence. I want you to write the title down. Deadly Negligence is the name of the book. I'm not even going to give you the subtitle because I want you to wait. And I want you to be in suspense for the book. Because I promise you, when you read it, you will be shocked that I'm even sitting here talking with you. Yes, you will be shocked. I promise you. But you will also come to believe that with God and his son Jesus, all things are possible. But you must have faith and you must believe. So as we go on this journey together with the Diana Wright Show, again, of course, online, because the Diana Wright Show was the biggest thing ever in Jamaica and around the Caribbean, and in London, and in Florida. It was. And in those days, if this was available to me, in terms of the internet, it would probably never have taken a break. But sometimes in your life, things come to you that you could never, ever, ever have imagined. And I promise you, if your day did not come yet, don't be surprised if it comes in another moment. But it's not about the tragedy that affects us or strikes us. It's the way we decide to handle that tragedy and come out simply a better person for it. So, as we have just a few moments left, I wanted to just kind of joke around with this concept here because I think it's a joke, actually. Don't you like when rich people fight each other? Now the Twitter war is between Mark Cuban And of course, who else? The Donald. Both of them are trying to say each other's show. You know, Mark Cuban is on The Shark, which is a pretty decent show, even though, you know, the people on the panel of The Shark wants to club him sometimes because he seems to wait until everyone else puts their neck out and then he tries to take the whole hog for himself. They've actually accused him of that publicly. And then there's the Donald of The Celebrity Apprentice. That show seems quite interesting. And the Donald saying, "You're fired." I think Donald Trump gets a true high when he says, "You're fired," you know. I think he just gets a high from doing that and saying that. And of course, he has NBC to thank for making him a breakout star with Celebrity Apprentice. And he is also, you have to give him credit. He has to, and he helped people like Nene Leakes and other housewives to become stars, bigger stars in their own right. So he's giving opportunity to a lot of people. So we have to respect him for that, despite all the other crazy things that he does, like talking about he wants to see the president's transcript and his birth certificate and all that rubbish. You know, get away from that, Sir Donald. You're bigger than that. You're bigger than that, Sir Donald. I like to call him the Donald. I don't even like to say Donald Trump. I truly like to say the Donald because I think of him as the Donald, you know, when he says, "You're fired." People just squirm and get into their little lamaze on his show. Okay. All right. So the Donald and Cuban, of course, I think, you know, Mark Cuban owns the Mavericks, yes, and the Donald, they're just having a feud about this whole reality show thing, who is best and who's not best, and all of that good stuff. I don't know. Let's take a risk and answer this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Madam Wright. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You are live on the Diana Wright Show. And what's on your mind this morning?
I am doing just fine, and I like your topics this morning.
Okay, well, if you like my topics, let's hear your thoughts on some of them.
I didn't call to give my thoughts.
Yeah, see? Okay.
It was the last one that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so I had to talk.
Which one is that?
The Donald.
The Donald. Oh, the Donald. I love the Donald, you know.
One of my favorite person, and it just he rubs me the wrong way, and that's...
He rubs you the wrong way, right? Well, I think he rubs all of us the wrong way. But he has this thing about him, like even at CPAC, the Republican conference that they just had. They said when they announced that he was coming, the tickets started flying out of the vault.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know, he has this thing about him that people just, even though they hate him, they want to be where he is. You know what I'm saying? Like I would love to be on the Apprentice.
Those people are like him.
Not necessarily. I'd love to be on the Apprentice just to hear him say "you're fired."
Oh Jesus, you better not go there. Don't go on it.
Oh my goodness! Because I just love. I'm serious. When he says "you're fired," I think if you look at his face, he truly gets a kick out of saying that to people. I'm serious. I've watched him and I'm like, he truly gets a high out of this thing, you know? I wonder if he does that in real life. Do you think he does that in real life with his own employees, or is it just for TV?
I think he's a mean-spirited person.
Wow. So you actually think he carries that on in his regular life?
I think he's vindictive, he's mean, and I wish that he would change to be a little nicer, considering that I see him as a human being.
Okay.
And the rest of us as human beings. Therefore, we should be lending out a little love to other people instead of trying to be negative all the way around. Because he is a very successful person.
Yes.
But he's not a positive person.
And he's not a successful person on his own now. Remember, his dad is the one that started the company and he just took over. He made it better.
I understand that.
Right.
I
but
understand And one of the things that also makes me taking exception to his behavior is because of that. Because I don't think he gets the feel, the know-how of others who are less fortunate.
Amen.
And
I agree.
I don't expect him to be in sympathy with anyone. That's not my thought. My thought process is understand. I want him to understand. So therefore, in order for him to understand, he has to be educated to learn. And once he learns, he needs to understand. There are those of us who are genuinely down and out and not trying to cover anything in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
And we do want to go places. And I hate him when he says things that are just unkind, because not all of us are the same.
Yes, that's true. Definitely.
And yes, I do know that some people would want to wake up at 3:30 in the morning and stay up until 1:30 in the morning to accomplish their goals. While there are others out there who are just sitting on their laurels and expect the unexpected.
Amen.
From those of us who work hard
Amen.
to get to where we are, or where to get to where we want to go.
Where we want to go,
And I can
yes.
understand that coming from Donald Trump. I do understand if he says something like that, because I think most of us would think the same way and say the same thing. But when he puts people down, or when he, it's just not me.
Mean-spirited.
Mean-spirited.
Yes.
And as you say, and you have been saying this from as far back as I know, love yourself.
Yeah.
And once you love yourself, you're going to love others, because that love that is inside of you extends itself. And there's no way it cannot extend itself. It's a given. Once it is there, it is going to be extended to others, because it's going to shine from inside out. What is good inside will come out automatically. You don't even have to do anything for it to come out. It will come out.
Yes.
So if you have love inside, you're going to be showing it to others.
Amen. Amen to that.
And that's how it comes out, by from others getting, the love from you. And by extension, again, that love that populates from inside of you to another person, that person is going to now take onto that and hold that for him or herself and extend that to someone else.
Yeah.
And the chain will just keep linking. And if we all go there, we do well.
I'm happy you said that, because I always thought that people like the Donald, Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, all those guys who just seem, O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, they all just seem to spew just hate. And I keep saying to myself, do they have a family? Do they have a wife and children? Do they love their wives and their children? Do they even love themselves? Because to me, as you just pointed out, if you love yourself, there's no way you can spew out all that hate. It's not possible. It's just simply not possible. So I'm glad you brought that up, because those guys, when I hear, because, I don't watch Fox and I don't, listen to Rush Limbaugh, but when you watch the other channels, they're always quoting them and showing you the video. And I'm looking at, they
feel that other people who watches their channel will want to watch it because it's a hype for their program. So, they've quoted Rush. They've quoted Rush Limbaugh. Hello.
Yes.
All the hypes and all the ratings and all the this and that.
It's just so sad. Just so sad.
It is sad. And keep preaching the love.
Yes, I'll continue, because that's my crusade here.
Yeah, no, but it's factual. It's lovely. It's just a good thing.
Yes.
And I can't help but saying what I'm about to say. That people who are Taurians do have that gift. There's no and if or but about it. It's like,
okay, one cheer for Taurians out there. All you Taurians, come on up.
And we need to use it.
Yes.
When you get a gift, use it. That's what you have. When in the Bible, you might remember the story of Ruth and Naomi.
Yes, Ruth and Naomi. Yes.
Used what she had.
Yes.
That God gave her to help her family, help her nation. In today's day, we probably look at it as negative and say, "Oh my God, she did that. Why did she do that?" But think about it, and I leave it there.
Think about it. Ruth and Naomi. A great story.
Whatever you're given, use it.
Yes. If it's beauty, you use it.
Of course. That's what God gave you.
And that's the reason we should love ourselves, because there's beauty in all of us. All of us have beauty. We all do, in different forms. You might not look like Cindy Crawford, but you have your own beauty. Please just be satisfied with it. Well, it is so nice to hear your voice and so nice of you to call. We certainly appreciate it right here on the Diana Wright Show. And we wish you all the best, and we hope that you'll call again. And of course, may just be a good guest one of these days. So you
Good, Diana.
okay, so she was trying to disguise her voice, you see, but I know who it is. I won't call her out, but I'll just let you know that she's someone in our community, in the Caribbean community, that has a lot to offer. But as she said, and as I have always said, and she knows that because she's been listening to me for a very long time, everyone simply needs an opportunity to do what they must and what they need to do. Not everyone is worthless and want to sit down and pop out babies that Russian woman is saying. No, I'm black. I've never thought about doing that. I've always strived for success ever since I know myself. And my mother was a businesswoman, so I guess maybe that's where I got it from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you have a blessed day.
And you do the same, and thank you so much for calling, and we look forward to you being a guest. And you will, when she comes on as a guest, I'll remind you of this phone call, and then you'll know why I said she has a lot to offer our community and your businesses that you have out there. You know, just the whole process of getting to be a better business and more conscious of the people that we serve. All right?
Yes.
That's all I'll say for now.
Okay,
All right.
you.
Thank you so much for calling. All right. I won't let her out. Let the puss out the bag right now. I'll leave you in suspense to ask, I wonder who that was. Well, that is someone that I believe have lots to offer our community businesses, because we need to learn, okay? But anyway, we're out of time talking about the Donald. So we are encouraging the Donald, and anyone who knows the Donald and have the influence over the Donald, please ask the Donald to be a little kinder, a little gentler, and know that we don't envy any rich person for what they have. And some of us just simply need an opportunity, because we're out here working hard and trying to do our best and trying to make it like he did. But he was much more fortunate than we are. He had his dad to start the journey. He took the reins, he made it better, but he had someone who started it first. And just like Oprah, I said, it was a white man who gave her her opportunity. So who is waiting out there to give you your opportunity? I hope there's someone out there waiting. And I wish you the best always. Because of course, love is the conqueror of this program. So keep in mind, April 30th, International I Love Me Day. And yes, you figure it's starting small? Don't worry about it. It's not about where you start. It's where the finish line is. And I, for one, am one of those people who look to the finish line. And right now, I'm speaking to you and I'm seeing the finish line of great things to come from this program as I encourage you, enlighten you, and help to lift you up each and every day as you continue your journey of this beautiful life in what Mr. Armstrong says is a wonderful world. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it was never yours. Don't forget, October 5, you will get a chance through Save a Life Jamaica Foundation to save a life that is less fortunate than yours. So we ask you again to save that date. We'll keep you posted as to what's going on. But anyway, adios. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day. Au revoir and ciao. Oh, we know we do.